Let's look whether this is on live right now. Let me just confirm our audio and image here. Just give me a second. Let's... Okay, great. We are live right now. How's everybody doing? I think everybody's very excited because the 4D number just came out. Okay, so those of you who know will know why 4D number. Maybe some of you get one number, two number, three number. So those who got a very good Q number for for Park Town as well as Elta, congratulations. You may have a choice today, this weekend to actually choose a unit. But at the same time, do also be careful not to fall into the various price trap that is always up there, and also our emotions to overtake. All right, so today we're going to really cover a little bit on what's going to happen. Okay, of course, I'm not going to touch so much about Parktown and Elta. What has been done has been done. Just want to make sure that every one of you, if let's say your queue number is in the 4-digit range and you're unable to select these two projects, all right, so always be always aware that it's not only these two projects that you can go for, right? There's always other properties, whether it's future launches, are there any post-launch currently that you could be missing out? There's a lot of other projects that definitely it's not only just two. All right, so just pick up your understanding a little bit more, and perhaps you can actually reach out to us and we can get you through a process. So sometimes not buying could be a blessing in disguise to every one of you, because you may not have done enough. The Yes, you may not have done enough research. You may not have worked out your finances properly. You may have going in with the wrong intention, or you don't even know what your objective is in property. So then that will be a little bit more risky. So today I'm really going to cover something that I consider it as cheap, 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 cheap. Okay, not the bird lah, but something that I believe in today's market, if you are looking out for somewhere of a very low entry, and it could also become a stepping stone for you, then you want to continue watching this video. And if you have not subscribed, you want to what? You want to really press the red button and then click on the notification bell and like this video. Okay, so let us just jump straight in. So give me a second. Let me just make sure that we are on now. Too many setup that we need to do. All right, let us do this. And let me know if you can see the screen once I share also. Okay, so we're going to cover a few things. Of course, today's video is really on the northern side of Singapore. And we're going to cover these four things. Is what is going on in this supply in that area, and is the Lentor area. So how many of you have been hearing a lot of news about Lentor and you're kind of wondering, hey, why is there so many news out there? So could there be an oversupply in the area? Is also one of the key questions that we want to dive in today. Another one is, of course, in the Lentor region, because there's so many different projects out there, right? There are 7 of them. Is there a layout that is the most dangerous in Lentor area? So we're going to also uncover that, and potentially you could actually avoid some of all these mistakes that other people are making. We're just going to do some pricing comparison, and also at the same time, for Lentor Central Residences, who is this? What property is actually suitable for who? Right. So we're going to kind of uncover this. And many of you who are out there actually did reach out that you wanted to actually work with us on a one-on-one basis. So if let's say time is you are not ready to actually engage on a one-on-one discussion with us, you may want to just scan the QR code and type in the word masterclass. So because I run regular masterclass online, and whenever I run any new sessions, I can just send you an invite and you can come in and continue to learn about property while you are following us on our YouTube channel. So today, if you have not followed us, you can scan the QR code and reach out. And maybe you want to seek a second opinion in your property. Perhaps you are already selling, but kind of the market is a bit slow for your property. You're not getting much offers. Or perhaps you're looking to purchase a property, but you kind of confused what you want to do. So then you can actually scan the QR code and reach out to us. And for some of you who have been waiting for different new launches to come, right? You have been waiting since EOK, Chuan Park, you miss Orie, and then now you even miss Elta, you miss Park Town, then you kind of, okay, what's next? What's next for me for the new launch? All right, so coming up, of course, Lentor Central Residences, which is going to preview this weekend in 22nd February. So if you have not booked any appointment, you can also reach out to us, and we generally advise you not to do it over the weekend. But this weekend being the balloting selection, I think the crowd also will be a little bit slower. So it will be maybe a good time for you to actually jump on it. So reach out to us if you want to get a little bit more understanding about whether Lentor Central Residences is for you, and this is the up and coming one. Following by then should be the One North Bloomsbury Residences. Okay, so that's the next one in One North. And if we have hear about the new budget, they did talk about what is going to happen in One North area. We're talking about 3 billion, okay, of top up to the National Productivity Fund, right? So 3 billion, 1 billion specifically for biotech, semicon, and R&D, which is all in the One North area. So that's why this is actually going to be very exciting. Even though Bloomsbury Residences is at Media Circle area, which is further away from MRT, but there's definitely some upsides that you can actually explore into. But again, whether this product is ideal for you and your property plans, that's where we need to uncover a little bit more. Another one that you all can look into is Ariana East, which is a freehold property at Tanjong Ru. Else, if you have missed Lentor Central Residences, then you may have to wait for the Spring Leaf, which is at Upper Thomson, which is further away. Okay, further away. All right. So the key thing is that you have to kind of know what do you need, what's your property journey plan like, then we can actually move forward with it. All right. So let's move forward into giving you a quick overview of Lentor Central Residences. So the first thing that when I was looking at the entire design of Lentor Central Residences, it gave me a very soothing view. All right, so you can see it's a very greenery kind of establishment, right? And a lot of this kind of high wall facade, infinity pool concept, which is very luxurious, and in my opinion, it's like you're going overseas. Also, then when I look at the design and I look at, whoa, this is 2 tall towers. Oh, fantastic. Okay, very nicely done. And most importantly, what I like is the placement. Because I think Lentor Central Residences has this unique point is that they did not build everything on the flat ground. So a little bit like how Elta did. Or Elta is also on the 2 stacks, and then one is higher than the other. So very similar. And when this kind of concept goes into a development, it usually gives a little bit more lux kind of approach. Very similar to some of the high-end products that we have seen. So I'm talking about the landscaping now and the space utilization. If you are familiar with Leiden Green, okay, Leiden Green, they have very large openness in terms of space, and they are also segmentized in this way. And another one that I've seen so far, which is also in the RCR region, is the View at Kismis. Okay, View at Kismis is also something very well done, although it's a low rise, but they have done it in a way that there's steps going up, you have waterfall coming down, that kind of feeling. So there's not a lot of developments now. They want to spend the cost to do this, but I believe it creates a more iconic arrangement, right? So it makes the entire development more large with space. And if we're talking about the 2 blocks kind of concept, and then they're kind of elevated, then one of the thing that I can only remember, which is very recently, is how Pine Tree Hill, as well as Nava Grove. All right, their concept is very similar. So let's just do a recap of how Nava Grove position. Of course, Nava Grove is 3 blocks lah, and Pine Tree Hill is also 3 blocks, right? So, but the way that you can see how they structure in terms of placement is very similar, and more importantly is that they are not really elevated on one another, but what they did was they actually raise up in terms of the blocks. So this is when I was checking with the architect, there's a 2 approach that why some developments when they are building this, they put a lot more thoughts into it, and I will share with you a little bit more later on. This is from a more of an architecture perspective, or not that I'm an expert, but when I chat with them, I understand why there are some developments that usually feels a little more warmer. That means where even if it's an open area, when you go in, it feels very hot. Or So it has everything to do with how the design and the placement in terms of your building blocks. So for Lentor Central Residences, right, I'm just going to call it short as Central, or if Lentor Central Residences very long. So I'm just going to use all the short form names if I can. So just bear with me for that. So for Central, right, what happens is that they have this design strategy that because they have this hillock park, and because of this hillock park, it creates this uh, a wind direction. So when you place the blocks in this way, right, what happens is your wind circulation goes inwards, which means that today when you are staying in this property in future, the property is not going to be hot. It's not going to be warm. That means even when you're downstairs, even if you're on top, there's this very nice breeze going on because of the hill, okay, the hillock park area, which is on the hill, right? So, and that is also one of the reasons why when they do their design architecture, they tend to build it on a up and down basis. So that's where you are able to build in a little bit more landscaping throughout your entire development. So this is something I find it very clever of them to do, and you are the only one that is so high rise. So if you look at the photo just now, let's take a look again. Wow, very pretty, right? So from far, imagine your hillock park is just behind you or in front of you, depending on where you stay. Okay, the environment is really very comfortable. So nowadays, I believe a lot of people are looking at certain greenery aspect. All right, they want to have the park, they want to have the cycling area, for them to walk their dogs, go for short stroll. So it becomes a very livable environment. So I think Lentor Central will have this perks versus a lot of the others, and because of the landscaping. So and of course, win the one of the corner unit, right, based on the plot of 7 plots of in Lentor, and you're facing the hillock park. So depending on the view, your view is also can be quite open. Of course, you cannot say that, oh, it's a totally unblocked. In front of you is still the other developments like future Lentor Gardens as well as Lentoria. But at least the distance is further away. So how the design for Central is like is that they build it on a up and down basis. So this is why it allows the wind flow towards it, and one is on the 28th floor. So for block 18, it's on the 28th floor, and block 20 is on the 27th floor. So it has a very kind of step up approach. So I think this is cleverly done so that you have a demarcation in terms of A zone and then B zone. But yet the entire environment is wide enough, and that also allows you to actually have a little bit more of a demarcation. All right, so you can travel from A to B and then B go down to A kind of arrangement. All right, so for I place all the kind of layout everything in so that we can have a better understanding of how the facing is, where the placement are. All right, but of course we're going to blow this up a little bit more later shortly. So you must continue watch the video so that you can get a little bit more in details. And we're going to cover quite a lot of things. Okay, not just because, just not about the introduction of Lentor Central Residences, right? We will really cover about whether is there really an oversupply, okay? And also we're going to dive in deeper into the layouts. Is there a very dangerous layout that we should totally avoid even in Central? And we're going to do pricing comparison just to give us an idea of how Central is going to be launched. And for today, if let's say you're buying into Lentor Central, what kind of profile you should be the one buying. Okay, so we're going to cover quite a fair bit later on in this. So coming back to this, we're going to kind of go in a little bit deeper, but this gives you a very good indication of how the facing is. So you have one side that is facing the park, and of course the other side, if you can look at this 2.8, meaning there's going to be it's going to be a new development here sooner or later. Why I say sooner or later? Singapore, where got land, no building one, something will come out. It's just a matter of time, right? And of course, on the other perspective, you also have to kind of handle, yes, you're away from the next Lentor Gardens reserve sites, but in time to come, it will also be built up. All right, so this is how the entire facing is. So take note, Lentor Central is also one of the closest to the MRT. Of course, you are not Lentor Modern now. Lentor Modern is right smack integrated, but at least you are still nearer in terms of walking distance. So we're going to kind of cover up a little bit and go in a little bit deeper. All right, so let us look at the block distances. I think this is why today, if let's say from a perspective of a flat land of 2 blocks, then chances are you may have that illusion that wow, the placement of these 2 blocks are very tight. But because of the up and down kind of arrangement, it gives it a little more space, and that space also allows you to create more fun approach in terms of your demarcations. So of course, for today, if we look at the entire, so we have turned this around. So just to recalibrate your alignment. Or so just now we were seeing hillock green at the south side. Okay, now we turn it around. The hillock park is actually over at the north side. Sorry, I mean based on our direction is north lah. So we will also put in the compass so that you can see where the north, south, east, west is, so to give you a better idea, especially when you're looking at which blocks are ideally for you. So one of the key things that we must understand is that the distance between each segment is very, very good space. Almost 37 meters away, some of them even 44 meters away. But just take note that anything that is facing here, you're facing an empty plot. All right, so this empty plot definitely in time to come, it will also be tendered, and it will be building residential, because in the master plan, it has already been given that. And of course, on the Lentor Gardens side, it's definitely coming in. When, again, we do not know. And if not, you can go for the premium one, which is at Hillock Park. Give you a potential unblocked view. Again, it will also be price sensitive for the area. So this is, I think, one of the key area that we need to look at. So right now, if you ask me, the empty plot, of course, allows you to get a very far setback, okay, from a site. Definitely. Just that you have to be aware that there will definitely be another building from there. Then if you look at the stack 3, okay, stack 3 site, which is this side, you do have the linear park view, which is a side view. Okay, you will have the linear park is right here. Okay, so you have kind of the linear park view, which is kind of nice. So even though it's in front of you will be another building, but on the side you do get certain form of greenery view. So stack 1, 2, that means let me see, stack 1, 2, 8 and 9. Okay, so we are talking about all this. So this one is a little bit further because you have a different set of setback here, and this is also unblocked all the way to Hillock Park. So I believe this block 18, this facing will definitely be more premium. Okay, I believe. And again, you just have to accept that in future, the Lentor Gardens, when they're being built, it will not cover up all your 100% of the view, but it will be a little bit of nuisance, the noise, the dust, the constructions going on. All right, so I have friends now staying in front of Parktown. No, behind Parktown, sorry, behind Parktown. So they are seeing the construction every day. They say, wow, very dusty. Every day they have to close the window. So this is real. So my friends, this is very real as it gets. So everybody say, hey, I want the unblocked view, unblocked view. But also take note, unblocked view is never forever. So we have to accept that. Okay, well, maybe for the next couple of 3-4 years, you enjoy that. Why not? Okay, for block 20. So block 20 is the stack 10 here. 10, 11, 12, that means it's this facing. So this facing, if you ask me, I think this is the furthest away from the next block. Okay, even if when the future block are being built, you may not get as much of a disturbance. Okay, this is the furthest, but you do need to accept that the entrance is right in front. Although there's a pool that actually kind of split this apart. So for block 20, this facing, if you want, you can go what? You can go even higher floor. Go as high as possible. Go higher floor. Lower floors means you are more comfortable with the pool view. If not, go for higher floors. I believe that will also be an option. So the one key thing is that today the this block okay, also have some concerns also Also, we also have to kind of measure it along the way. I don't believe it's the so-called entrance, okay, but more importantly is that today, if you are going for a mid-floor level, the entire area may be a little bit noisy, okay. Why? Because with the driveway, the drop-off point area, all the cars coming in when they park, so, and then noise to travel upwards. So you just have to be a little bit more concerned about this, and to see how well this placement is for you. Oh, no, yep, correct. And for Hillock Park side, I think it's quite straightforward. If today you want the Hillock Park area, do also take note, nothing comes for everything checklist. There's definitely certain west sun that comes from it. Also, this is something uh, we have to weigh out the pros and cons during your selection. So if you are visiting the show flat, we will be able to guide you and give you specifically to look at what you could have missed out, because when you're going there, you just don't know how to see. Oh. So let us look at placement of sizes. Okay, placement of sizes, I think they have spread it out very comfortably, and this is a very rare development where you get to have quite a fair bit of selections on both blocks, and at the same time you have quite a fair bit of the facilities. Okay, the pools, if you can see the pools, and very nicely done, they have a tennis court. Also, I think there are only 3 developments in Lentor that has tennis court. Also, Central is one of them. So these are the different layouts. We're going to dive in a little bit more into different layouts. But more importantly is, if let's say today you're specifically only looking at 1 to 2 types of property type, right? You may want to give yourself some options to open up some choices, because this is what we usually see during a ballot, right? A lot of them, they went in unprepared, so they are unprepared about what their affordability. They kind of work out their numbers briefly. They just roughly see how much cash they have, how much CPF they have, and what is their loan capability, and then they move forward. So that is a very big risk, if you ask me, because sometimes uh, if when we look at the numbers, we may be able to optimize it. Optimize it meaning what? We can actually save more costs. We really want to stretch ourselves in terms of affordability. All right, so that is very important to always make sure that that fits within your comfort zone. Not so much about the loan. It's always, can you sustain this property and pay this amount even in the worst case scenario? Are you okay to hold on to this property? Okay, property is really not to buy and then force yourself to sell in 3 years, or you must have a timeline 3 years to sell. I don't think that is fair. I think that is very scary. So you definitely want to work on your affordability. And another mistake a lot of people make is that they don't have their selection choice. So as I mentioned just before I'm doing live, I was with another client, and after I do this session, I'm going to go through a live session, a session with my clients who are going for Parktown and Elta. All right, so we're going to do a lot of prep work beforehand. Once you know your ballot number, once you know your queue number, because why, we need to have certain unit selection. So in order for you to be more prepared about the pricing, what's the range of estimates, that provides more confidence for you as you're selecting your unit. The last thing you want is that you go in and then you anyhow choose. You see people choose, you also want. See, I think we have more than enough time to prepare ourselves. And that's the reason why I'm running quite a lot of different private sessions with all the clients who are going for Elta and Parktown. Some good, some no good. So we can't stop anybody from not buying or buying. We just have to do our part as your advisor, as a consultant, to provide you as much research, as much data access to make an informed decision. All right, so that's very important. And again, this is where a lot of people, they make the mistake. Sometimes they say, oh, I just want to go for the highest floor unit. All right, so just now I was also advising my clients on how do we look at per floor pricing strategy. Okay, very important. So that when the time comes for us to select, we know exactly what are the jump per floor. Is it worth it? And is it worth to pay that kind of prices for the high floor, or should we go for a lower floor? Even if you are able to pay your budget, you can go up very high floor. But is it more worth, maybe, if we can go for another alternative, which is perhaps a lower floor, bigger unit? You see, so there are a lot of computations. That's why on the ground, before we go for the actual selection of the ballot, during the ballot, we would done a lot of all this prep work. In terms of the best case situations, worst case alternative. We must have all this prep so that today is really go in, not say that whatever you want to buy is there. Even you got money, also may not be able to purchase, because it's all by balloting, right? Based on your queue number, how lucky you are, that kind of arrangement. So, but most importantly, what most people make is they just accept any prices when it's been released. So our role is, we are also here to guide you through until a certain level. is it still worth it? Is it still safe to move forward with this? Oh, so that's why we have a certain walkaway price whenever we are doing any form of projects. Not that the project is no good, but there will always be limitations in terms of our finances, about our plans, and when a certain price come up to a certain level, that is it still justifiable to buy this property in this area, in this estate, comparable to what? Compared to the recent surrounding resale, surrounding new launches, surrounding price trends, and what's their price gap. So all these things, if you kind of like, oh, actually, if you have been going for new launches and nobody has done all this with you, then you have to be very careful that you may be falling into the developer's trap of just buying whatever you like. Okay, so if you kind of a little bit concerned about whether you have been advised correctly, you may want to just check out some of the videos that we have to see actually how we do it. And if you find that how we do it helps you, you feel safer, you can be more confident, reach out to us so that we can guide you through the REI method. Because this has been proven, a very proven process and method that we have been using it since 2009 for not only for our clients, but for ourselves when we are also buying and investing property. And that is very important because yeah, for those who have been following me, I've been looking at property and selling and buying as most recent as just last year. And last year we sold another property, and this year we're looking to re-enter into the marketplace. So we're very current in what works in terms of strategy and how the market is behaving moving forward, because our money is inside the market. Okay, our money is inside the market. So that's why we are also very careful whenever we are adjusting our strategies to stay relevant and current. So if today you really want to seek a second opinion in terms of your decision making, okay, you're kind of unclear whether is this the right move for you, then you want to scan the QR code and reach out to us. Be it whether you're looking at all the new launches or perhaps you just want to seek a second opinion about whether you should be doing property or not. Should you be selling to buy another one? Should I buy two property? There's a lot of all this confusion in the marketplace because everything is so confusing. So then you may want to kind of seek a second opinion. And do take note, these are not just the launches. All right, so I'll be doing a series of videos specifically on one market. Okay, and it is the CCR market. Okay, so through my research for the last couple of weeks, I do believe that there is a very unique window of opportunity coming up. Okay, so I'm not going to share too much. So if you really want to find out a little bit more, like for the longest time, there is one segment in the Singapore market that a lot of, I mean, the wrong word to use is commoners, but we are all commoners, right? Very layman, average Joe, okay, we're the average Joe kind of profile, right? It's very difficult for us to enter into this segment. And I believe through my research that and my data that I churn out, right, there's going to be a big shift coming in. Okay, big shift going on, and it is going to happen this year. Okay, I think this is very exciting. That's why I'm going to prepare a little bit more data. I'm going to have a more uh, video series to share with you all a little bit more of what I see, and perhaps we can actually see what we can do in that specific market. Right? Because Land again just placed a top bid for River Valley in the near the Great Wall City. It seems like Land, wow, very aggressive recent years. All right, they have been monopolizing quite a fair bit of areas. Bugis area, now Lentor area. Of course, they lose out one of the site as well. And now River Valley also want to go in there. And if you ask me, is top dollars River Valley area, or you can see when Zion Road was launched, they were they are going to do service apartment and commercial retail. Then we have River Valley Green, Parcel A, then Zion Road, Parcel B. So there's a lot of movement in the CCR market, which stay tuned. All right, follow my channel. I'll be doing a very unique series about this specific market where potentially it's going to change the climate of how property is being seen. Okay, so I'm very exciting. All right, so again, let us go into the supply situation, which is one of the biggest concern everybody has. Is there really a big supply? So what I've done is I laid out every single of the launches in Lentor, all right? And if you can see all the 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the sequence of when they were launched. So Lentor Modern was the first one, followed by Lentor Hills Residences, and then Hillock Green, and Lentoria, and Lentor Mansion, Lentor Mansion is the first harmonized in Lentor area, followed by the upcoming Lentor Central Residences, which is also which is also harmonized. Then we have Lentor Gardens that is coming up. Okay, not much later. So total in terms of supply here, we're talking about 2,954, and including Lentor Central. This is including Lentor Central. And if we add on the additional estimated about 500 units from Lentor Gardens later on, it will be about 3,454 units. So you may say, wow, 3,454 units for this new town is very big. All right, so we must understand today what the government is trying to do is to create Lentor as a new township. Okay, they are creating it as a new township, as how they have been doing it for where? Congo and also in the, what they call Potong Pasir area. It's just that the configuration of how they do it is a little bit different. So how Congo or even Woodley have done is there were HDBs first, all right, then condominiums. Whereas for Lentor, I believe this is another approach that they are trying to look into is to build the condos first. Then later we will fit in more demand into this location, which is already started. So today, if you look at Lentor, they are fitting in a lot more infrastructure first. Okay, infrastructure first. So in most of the townships, it's always infrastructure first, then the properties go in. But whereas in Lentor, you can see that it's a reverse. Okay, they build the condos first, then infrastructure will go in, which is not a bad thing. Why do I say so? Because most of the time, there must be a real demand going into a certain location. That is why they will have infrastructure. But today, when the government already starts putting in money to open up tail line where Lentor MRT is, the what do you call it, ridership is not that big, but yet they open it up. Also, if you have understand, like even in Hillview area, right, there are stations that are not open because ridership is low. But whereas for Lentor, they actually starts open up everything. Everything is up. Okay, only one station is not open. Later, I'll share with you that maybe most of you also don't know. Is it's an in between station. Okay, in the tail line. Later, I'll share with you a little bit more. So stay tuned. Like this video so that you can continue watching. Yeah. So what is happening here is that why would the government spend so much money in terms of infrastructure building the MRT and opening up first, while the riderships there should be as low, because none of all these are being TOP yet. That means the number of people riding the MRT is going to be super extremely low. So that's one question that goes out of the norm. The second thing I also look at is that today, with the North-South corridor being built, is there going to be a huge demand coming in? And all these are being planned for when? 2028, 2030, that kind of timing, which is by then, most of the 6 plots or even the 5 plots will all be already completed. And that's where there'll be a new influx of almost 3,000 households going to be in this location. All right, so I think this is, we say that it's very far, it's also not very far. Within 2 to 3 years, everything will be done properly. And this is how government usually works. They will always make sure there's infrastructure because they don't want to repeat the same mistakes of what they have done previously. Or when they built all the condos, nobody want to even buy the area because they don't see that their infrastructures coming up. All right, so this is very different. So for land, of course, the Lentor Gardens, if you look at it, for future, this is a very future plot. So if you miss Lentor Central, then if you still want in Central Lentor area, then the next one you have to go is Lentor Gardens. So Lentor Gardens, of course, in terms of size, okay, it's very comparable. It's very comparable because you can see it's bigger. So these two are actually, in terms of size, it's almost the same. Mansion is about 21,000 plus in terms of land space. Gardens is about 20,000 plus. So besides the Lentor Central, which is launching now, the next one, if you miss this, will be Lentor Gardens. So this, of course, if you ask me, there will be another one that will capture the eyes of buyers. So this is bigger. So you may say, oh, I want to wait for the bigger one. But if today you're buying Lentor for the school, CHIJ school, but will you go for Lentor Gardens? This one also not 1 km to CHIJ, and moreover, it's further from MRT. So if you know that the next plot is going to be further, it's going to also not be 1 km to MRT, to the school, and which one will you go for? You see, so today is all about what? Timing, about opportunity. It's not about waiting for the market to your favor. So that one is never a good approach. So I think it will be very interesting to see today with everything being harmonized, or it will also be very interesting to see whether Guaco is able to capture more market share in this area, like what they have done with Lentor Mansion. So Lentor Mansion is a classic reference point that we can use lah, or so we are able to see it how they do it. So one key thing that we also want to be also understand a little bit is the price gap different. All right, because that will also determine in terms of what, in terms of the supply and demand. Is there really people buying this property? Are the prices correct? You see, so we're going to do some pricing comparison. So today, if we look at it this way, we have do a difference. So today, if we start off with Lentor Modern, okay, the Lentor, let me take a look now. Yeah, so if you take a look at Lentor Modern, right, you can see that their per square foot, right, it's actually 1,002. This is the first plot. Then the second plot, you see, drop it. Oh, so there's a difference about 12%. Okay, about 12%. Of course, you can say lah, yeah, the land price difference 12% because Lentor Modern is what, integrated lah, the MRT is there lah, the mall, everything is convenient lah. So the question is, this is how we always look into comparison of properties, is it justifiable for that 12%, you see, more, even though you are also very close walking distance. So is it more worth to go for Lentor Modern or Lentor Hills Residences in this case? Of course, when everything comes into resale, then that's a different ballgame altogether. So it doesn't. So the premium here is the same thing. When Lentor Hills was launched, everybody was saying that, wow, they bought the land cheaper, then they will sell cheaper. It's not that way, or it shouldn't be seen as this, because developers will definitely have their ways of calculation. They also have to make sure that there's a profit involved in their purchase. So lower land cost does not equate to lower selling price. It has no relation at all. All right, but later on we will study a little bit in terms of price gap. So you have an idea also, hey, is it more worth for me to actually pay that premium for integrated or not? You see, so this within Lentor Modern and Lentor Hills Residences is about 12% difference. Then if you start looking at the number 1 and number 3, the price difference, Modern as well as Hillock Green, the difference is about 8%. Okay. So being also closer to Modern, also can walk to MRT, but now the difference is only 8%. So question is, do I want to pay that 8%, you know, and I can still walk to the mall, so and the MRT. So this is why when you start comparing properties, whether it's you're buying a new launch or resale, it's never about how much this property is. You do need to do more research about your comparison, about your research nearby, prices nearby, resale, launches, everything you need to kind of look at it from a very top view perspective. So of course, in this arrangement, I'm not going to put Lentoria into the picture for now. It's not that it's not a good project, okay, but being the smallest plot there, even though there are future plots coming up, it is still considered small. So when it's small, the only advantage is what? You're 1 km to what? 1 km to the school. And this could play out more for those who die need to the school in future. Lentoria will be very acceptable in this situation. But I'm not taking this into consideration in terms of the pricing. So for Hillock and Lentor Hill, basically they are, so this basically 1, 2, 3. But of course for Lentor Hill Residences, it's not all the blocks are 1 km to the school. Okay, but in these 3, are there any price gap differences? Okay, so this is where we're going to study. So for mention, Lentoria to mention, right? So if you talk about Lentoria to mention, the difference is about 13%. So one thing interesting for Lentor, it's kind of, whenever there's a launch, it seems like they go back in time. Take a Back to the Future time machine, pump. The prices has not really climbed whenever there's a new launch. That means they fall back to the old pricing as a guideline. Could it be because Lentor Modern originally they already launched very expensive, and then the rest they try to kind of what adjust accordingly? Also, must always remember the majority of the players here is Guapo Land. So looking from a business perspective, it's almost like dollar averaging. The more I can do in one, maybe I can do lesser in the other one, so I have more margin to play with. But at the end of the day, they still make money, and let's just say that they're not here to don't make. All right, but I believe this is also another strategy that Guaco is doing, either to achieve market share or because of all these placements of units, they are able to kind of adjust their pricing a little bit better. So they would rather make sure their properties sell well and the units are flying off the shelf, then they price it too expensive and it gets stuck. So I think this is a very smart move in terms of the dollar averaging. So that's why some land they can bid more, some land they bid a little bit lesser. Hopefully this also entices more consumers to actually purchase. So that's why Lentor Central Residences, later on you all really must stay on because it is very attractive and we have just gotten the indicative prices. So we're going to share with you how this upside is going to help you secure in terms of a first mover advantage in Lentor area, even though there are already so many plots. Also, this is very important now. So why do I want to um, compare Lentoria to mention, which is about 13%? Because it's very similar to Lentor Central. Very fair comparison because the other three, if you ask me, they're all very far from MRT, or even, sorry, actually not modern, sorry, right wrongly, should be Lentoria and Modern. Okay, Lentoria and Modern. Their difference is about 13%. Okay, 13%. So, yeah, so we use Mansion to compare because Mansion, uh, even though it's 1 km to school, but MRT wise is further away. Ooh, wow, further. This one also a little bit further away. So if you ask me, these two comparison is quite fair, but there's still some differences. There's definitely some differences. Okay, Mansion and Central, they are bigger land plot. Okay, and they are harmonized. That's why their PSF uh, seems to be much more acceptable because sizes wise. Okay, so this is something that we have to study later on with the floor plan. Okay, the layout and the floor plan is very important. And moving forward, harmonization will really play a huge part. Because rightfully, the PSF to add should be about 6% for the aircon latches, so that you can do a accurate comparison. Whether you minus the 6% or add on 6% is the same. So if we do that, the difference between the Lentoria and the rest is only maybe about 7%. So the difference in terms of the jump that you are acquiring a bigger land plot, a younger one, the difference is not too big. So it seems it's super cheap from a look of it. Okay, that's why later on we will dive in a little bit more details. And later on we will also go and study how Mansion, because Mansion is the harmonized unit. We want to see how it performs till date against the rest. So this is the most recent and closest comparison we can do. Okay, so let us quickly study a little bit into the trends. So let's see this from a the trend perspective. Give me a second. Let me just plug in my battery running low. So make sure that it's been plugged in first. All right, so let us just compare some of the younger ones. Let's take mention modern out because modern is integrated, right? So I just want to use the rest, which is the second one is Lentor Hill Residences. Okay, I just want to study and understand. Let's choose a 3 bedroom type or average 3 bedroom. I just want to see how the trend and the prices has jumped over the last couple of years when they first launched. Okay, so this one is based on 2023 when they launched. So after Hillock Green, sorry, after Lentor Hills Residences is Hillock Green. So we will look at Hillock Green. Same thing, we will choose a 3 bedroom type. Yeah, so we do a lot of this kind of comparison study to allow us to have a certain filter when we are guiding our clients in, and we are not guessing our way into the purchase or the sale. We study research and data, and then from there we analyze what is the thing that we are aware of and not aware of. So today, from if let's say we just use Lentor Hills Residences and Hillock, you can very comfortably say that Hillock Green, of course, being a younger, newer property, they launched a little bit higher. So when Lentor Hills was launched, it was about 2,000, and then it escalated up to for Hillock Green to launch at 2,057 per square foot onwards. All right, so that means the jump between each, right? If you look at the jump in terms of the percentage between that period, it's only 2.75%. So it's not a crazy gap in terms of their launch price. And if you ask me today, Hillock Green, did they launch it low during that time? Definitely, because they should be able to launch even at $2,100 per square foot, but they did not. But over time, has both property already escalated in terms of price? Okay, let us take a look how much the growth has been for both properties. So let's use the start of Lentor Hill Residences. We don't want to use 2025. I think the data that is still not accurate. So we just plot it to the last data point that we have, which is already went up about 12%. And for Hillock Green, let's use this to now is about 8%. All right, so 1.5, about 1 year difference. All right, that 1 year difference is about 3%, which is very fair, which means Hillock Green is also on route to additional about 11 to 12% growth in this situation. So let us take a look at the next launch after that. Okay, again, I don't want to take Lentoria as an example. I just want to go straight into the harmonized Lentor mansion so that we can actually see how Lentor is. But taking into consideration, Lentor Mansion is a harmonized project. So the PSF definitely is going to be a lot different from what we can see. So let us take a look. All right, so you can see the price guide in terms of Lentor Mansion. Immediately, let's just use Hillock Green example. Based on the price transaction, it's about 6%. So 6%, that's why it's very accurate. So if you look it back, right, that means the aircon latch, 6%, as I shared just now, that means Mansion was actually launched at the same price as how Hillock Green at that point of time. Okay, if you reverse it back. But because of harmonization, we have to add on the PSF and accordingly, right? So this is how you are able to determine today from a research perspective what kind of price point is actually acceptable. And today, Mansion being they also do very well on the first day of launch. Of course, some people are saying that, oh, their material given is not as good. It's vinyl material. They don't have full glass window, and also their sizes are much smaller. So these are all how developers have to make a profit out. Okay, so you cannot just make sure that, oh, they give you the best, but they will definitely do some adjustments that is still acceptable for us as a livable comparison. So today, based on this about 6%, then we have to start looking at, okay, with this, how does it compare to the Lentor Central Residences later on? So that's why all these numbers are very important for us to look at. And as of date, even though we may say that, oh, the price gap is very little, are there people who are still careful and worried that, hey, I shouldn't go into Lentor area because I cannot see anything? Very common. But the thing is, if we were think this way, why is it that today, as of now, the unsold supply only left 158 units? Right, as of now, we only left 158 units. So that's like 4.5% okay, left only. And mostly are the bigger units. So actually, since 2003 and now we have been hearing a lot of people commenting, oh, Lentor very far. But when people who start accepting that actually this is a new township, there's going to be a lot more things coming up, especially when we start hearing about North-South Corridor, the MRT opening up. People start to accept Lentor as another area where it's convenient and it's not like super ulu like last time. Okay, so it took about, most of the developments here took about 2 years, and most of them are fully sold. So do you know that there are actually properties in other regions, 5 years or close actually 3 to 4 years, still haven't sold finish. So that's why something here you must always understand. If nobody go into this location and there's still a lot of unsold units, then perhaps it really cannot go in. But since everybody also go in already, what's the risk? 3,000 of them also make mistake, man. Quite impossible, right? All right, cannot be bluffing 3,000 over people buying properties there when there's nothing happening. So this is where the knowledge comes in. That's where we come in to provide you more information, more knowledge, and connect all this information so that it's easier for you to make a better decision. Easy. So, so those who have bought this area, then you sit on it first. Of course, you'll be one of the first mover advantage there. But then you'll be like, oh, then I'm the later ones to come in. Again, it's not about how early or how late. It's all about pricing, okay, and opportunity. So today, if you ask me, those who have already purchased this 1 year plus will already have purchased. Okay, those who have when they bought EOK, they have bought Orie, they have bought all the other stuff. And then this weekend, everybody will have bought Elta and Paknao, which means there are more chances for you here. Okay, more chances because most of the developments are all 100% sold. Oh, so, but you still have a name to purchase something. So, which means for Lentor Central, right, I believe there will be also less competition. Okay, most of the developments, the last few launches are all what, 1,000 over, double subscribe, triple subscribe from the launch. And then you want to buy something, but no chance. Come here, come to Lentor Central. Okay, let us share with you a little bit more of today. If you're using Lentor as a stepping stone, as a first investment or what, you can actually have a very good positioning. And I'll explain to you all why more later on in the pricing. Okay, of course, Lentor mentioned you all already know, sold 75%. And today, one key thing you must always understand is there are 4 more plots coming. Okay, 4 more plots, and they are all away from the MRT. So today you are still able to get some Lentor Central that is somehow closer to MRT for the convenience and still closer to the mall. Which one is better? Also, out of these 4 plots, if you ask me, there's one that is smaller lah. Okay, maybe one that is more worthwhile, but it really depends. Really depends on how much or when will it be launched. Okay, so key thing is today in Lentor, there's a new township coming up, very exciting. And today you really want to um, reach out. Why? Because I'm going to show you the estimated price guide. Estimated price guide. Oh, don't fall off your chair. Don't fall off. But again, these are all indicative. Starting prices meaning is because it's a high-rise property. So that's why they always start off on the lowest floor possible. So this is the indicative price. Also, if today you have not booked appointment to visit the show flat, you can reach out to us. We'll be able to help you to make the appointment at your comfort. And try to avoid the weekends if it's possible, or unless die no choice, then we do the weekends. If not weekday, I think it's more comfortable. Also, you can see the prices. Very attractive. When have you ever seen below $2,000 per square foot nowadays? Don't have. Everything also more than 2,000. Also because of why Lentor Central, because they are all high rise. So this is going to be very similar to how Orie plays out. Okay, how Orie plays out on in terms of their per floor level, or very important. So this is why today, when we are looking at some of the prices, we kind of need to know uh, how much their per floor jump is also important. So it should, like for Ori, they went up about maybe about 0.5%, okay, per floor jump, okay, per floor jump, okay, and that is works out to maybe about 7,000, 8,000 range. But that's in Toa Payoh lah, so we must also take note. So Elta likely is going to be the same, but of course Elta location is different. It's different. So how much per floor jump are they going to do? That's another set that we're going to unveil for this weekend. So we're going to know. So that's why prices like this, we also want to set certain expectation. Developer definitely have this as the lowest price to start off with. Also, it's not that you're going to get this price for every single floor. So that's where our experience comes in, our expertise comes in to guide you through what kind of level is more suitable, which kind of level, when it reaches a certain pricing, it's not worth it anymore. So this is how we have to start looking at it. Very important. So let's just use a very common example. Or let's say let's just use 2050 per square foot. Okay. So let's say 689 square feet unit, then it'll be about 1.39 million. So that's how we can command, and from there you add on a 0.5% jump. That could give you the indication of what is happening. All right, so moving shortly, we're going to cover the layout, which is the most dangerous layout. So we're going to debug the one thing that in Lentor people are talking about also. Is it true that you will lose out in property profits and if let's say your property is not near to the school, or is it the MRT better? So should you choose the school effect or should you choose the MRT effect? So we're going to uncover and we're going to debug this one thing in Lentor later on with data and facts. So stay all the way to the end. So as of now, just to give you a quick overview, so we're going to cover all the different floor types, right? So for Lentor Central, we don't have 5 bedrooms. So there's only 1 to 4 bedrooms. So for the one bedroom right now, 1 plus study, 1 bedrooms in Lentor area, the total number is only 237 units. So which means it only takes up about 8% of the entire zone. So sometimes people were wondering, wow, there's 1 bedroom, where got people buy? There's a lot. But actually it's only about 8%, which is very, I mean, it's not a lot. Some developments by itself already 200 over units, right? So that's why today, if let's say you are using Lentor Central as a stepping stone, I think it's very doable. Why? Because the prices is what? 975,000 onwards. We haven't seen anything below 1 million for the longest time. For the longest time. Okay, so of course then would it be a concern with the layout? I think the layout is very comfortable for a 1 bedroom. Okay, 463 square feet. I think everything is done as per how a 1 bedroom is done. So the only unique part about this is that if you want to go for the 1 bed plus study, which is this configuration, all right, you get an enclosed kitchen. All right, so this is something that is super rare for 1 bed to have an enclosed. But moving forward, I believe this is going to be quite a norm also because of how harmonization has been done and how they can layer it out better. Also, this is going across the 1 bedroom is 975K. You must write big. 975K onwards. Very rare. I haven't seen 1 million price in a very long time. Okay, so of course, now we move on to 2 bed, 2 bath. Okay, so I want to just pull out a few things. 2 bed, 2 bath, we're going to use a few properties. Meaning, if we use, let me see, if we use hillock, okay, we use mansion, and then we use lentoria. Okay, so why? Because these 3, they are 2 bed, 2 bath, open concept kitchen. Okay, so these 3 developments, that's why layout are important. You have to be careful about whether your development is having the same layout as everybody, or is there a difference? Okay, so when you're looking at this, so today, if let's say the developments for 2 bed, 2 bath are open and yours is enclosed, yours will stand out as a resale. Okay, because for a shift in most harmonization property moving forward, you will see more enclosed 2 bed, 2 bath coming up. Okay, and let's take a look at how the layout is going to be. Also, this is how the 2 bed, 2 bath, and you can see all of them coming with enclosed kitchen, enclosed kitchen, enclosed kitchen. So this is definitely going to be a new norm moving forward, and which means that today, versus the others, which is open concept, you do have an advantage. And the only one that is different is, let me just clean this up a little bit so that you can see better. The only difference that you can see here is this is a traditional layout. The rest are all dumbbell layout. Also, this is something you also have to be important. And this entire range takes up 44% in the development. So which means the amount of units that will be put up for resale in future is very healthy. So you have to look at the entire overall supply also, not only just here. So in Lentor, there are about 1,000 units, about 1,000 two-bedroom units, and about 70%, 700 units of them are like dumbbell. Okay, which means it's like this kind. Okay, this kind of layout, dumbbell layout. Okay, and the balance 30% mostly are also open kitchen. So that's why your unit here with enclosed kitchen is super rare, even though it's not a dumbbell. Okay, even though it's not a dumbbell, but you do have an edge for the enclosed kitchen. So of course you can go for the bigger two-bedroom. The bigger two-bedroom, which is 786 square feet. So I've put out the difference here is because the two-bed plus study, they have a study where you can have access into the toilet, whereas the common room also has it. So it's like a Jack and Jill concept. So the study, can you double it up as a single bedroom approach? Maybe not. You may not be able to put in a full big single bed, but mini one like IKEA size. Potentially you can also fit it in. Again, it's best to also head down to the show flat to take a look, and we can actually see how well the placement is when we are at the show flat. Right. So I believe the two bed plus study strategy here is very comfortable. And out of this four different layouts, there's one that stands out a little bit more, which is this 2E. Okay, why do I say so? Because most of the two-bedroom units, you always get an enclosed kitchen. Even if you get an enclosed kitchen, it's enclosed, or a tuck-in kitchen. That's what we say. That's what I call it. But what you have here is a very livable one, and you have a glass panel. So which means, most of the three-bedroom, you have like a half wall kind of glass panel. So this is the one that uh, has that kind of space. So 2E, based on the layout, you have two stacks to choose from. Again, I believe this is also something that from a resale perspective, it will be very justifiable. Again, pricing wise could be a little bit more because developer will know that, hey, this is more acceptable, and that's also a reason why they built two blocks for it, two stacks for it. So this is something important. So I also want to use this chance to compare it to the other developments and just to have an estimate of what is the pricing like. So I want to compare it to two layouts, which is in develop Lentor Mansion and then Lentor Hill Residences. Okay, so you can see that there are two-bedroom units function very differently. Let's say, for example, for Lentor Mansion, they do have a flexi room. Okay, they have a flexi room here, but their flexi room does not go into the toilet. All right, so, and their common room don't go into the toilet as well. So that means you only have one entrance. It's not a Jack and Jill concept. All right, will it still work? It's still a tuck-in kitchen. So this is also one of the possible competition in future. So one of the advantage of Lentor Mansion has is that they have windows. So this is definitely something that we have to acknowledge. Even for two-bedroom to get a window out, it's not easy. And what about Lentor Hill Residences? Being a dumbbell layout, I think being an enclosed kitchen. So that's why I want to show you all the comparison. Why? Because these are potentially your competition when it comes to resale. But yet at the same time, I want you all to be very careful about the prices. So I also kind of put it back into minus of the AC latch kind of configuration. And then we kind of look at it from a PSF without AC latch. They're going about at least 2,005 per square foot. Averagely, everything is about 2,005, you see. So today, if we look at the starting price for a two-bedroom, it's actually starting from $2,050 per square foot. Okay, you are almost 400 to $500 difference. So this also is very important because the sizes for the two bedrooms are averagely also about 786. So if you multiply those sizes together, right, you can now let's put all together so you can see it very clearly. All right, so this is of course our Lentor Central Residences, or then you can compare to Lentor Mansion as well as Lentor Hill Residences. And if let's say today all of them are about close to 2,000, okay, we just use $2,500 per square foot. And if I just use a starting price, or I just use starting price, and of course, would we have $450 per square foot to play with? And if we use 2050 per square foot times 786, right? Your quantum is 1.6 million versus 1.8 million. We just use quantum as a starting. So even if I go up to 1.75 million, higher floor units, different view, is it safer for me to exit in future because my overall quantum is much lower? See, so this is why calculating based on it as a resale in future is extremely important. Okay, very important. So the only thing that I find that today, if you're going for this 2 bedroom 786, one of the bigger competition is you may have this Lentor Mansion layout. Of course, this is already fully sold. This is Lentor Mansion, already fully sold. Already fully sold. Oh, but this layout, why? Because for 786, they can squeeze in 1, 2, 3 bedroom. So this is a proper 3 bedroom approach. So 786 to squeeze 3 bedroom is a little bit unheard of, and yet they can still fit in all the queen bed. So this is something that you have to be very, you have to understand a little bit. Although yes, you are getting a kind of a open L-shaped kitchen, but if today you are able to buy a 786 square feet, 3 bedroom, will it actually help us? But let us just use it because for this unit, although it's already fully sold, there are prices ranging from 1.71 million all the way to 1.91 million. And if today you buy this Lentor Central unit, right, a 2 plus study, also at about 1.61 million, you know, this is one area that you have to also take note of. All right, so does it mean that you don't go for the Lentor Central because anyway Lentor Mansion already finished? In future, they can double it up as a 3 bedroom. How much will they want to sell this property for? Because it is a functional 3 bedroom. Some people will be thinking, oh, that means the space wise is actually quite small. Yes, I don't disagree because you are fitting in a lot of areas into one space. So this is also something that we have to be uh, very mindful about. All right, very mindful about. So one thing about one other comparison, if you ask me one good traits about Lentor Central, right, and versus Lentor Mansion, the other one that I see is their 904 comparison. So this is Lentor Mansion 904 comparison. Okay, 904 comparison. So you have to kind of study. So this is also something that is very important for you to know what kind of layout to go for. All right. So the proper 3 bedroom 915 square feet base harmonized concept versus Lentor Mansion, they can fit in 904 square feet with what? With a flexi room. A flexi room. And then they have a what? Dry and wet kitchen. So this is interesting. All right. So and this is only Lentor Mansion has. So I believe this is also one of the reasons why Lentor Mansion sells very well in day one. And I think this could be also some form of a comparison when next time in a resale. I say, but of course, even for 915 is a very good stepping stone. All right, it functions well as a 3 bedroom, and very importantly for Lentor Central, right, you do have a window towards the aircon ledge, which means your corridor will be brighter, and you are getting a proper enclosed kitchen here. Or for Lentor Mansion, is still a kind of a open concept, if you ask me. Although they are able to fit in an additional flexi room, you see. So this is why I believe space planning, yeah, moving forward, is very important. And also you must be aware based on affordability. So based on affordability, that's what most buyers, when they come to resale, that's what they do. Okay, and you want to watch it on carefully because many people will always make this mistake. They first base on their number one, affordability. Then number two, they base on budget. Then number three, their ideal unit. Then when they go for balloting, they just say, okay, let's go higher and higher and higher, higher, higher. Okay, so that's why it's very important. So say today, okay, let me give you an example. Say today you have a budget to buy a 3 bedroom. And the logical choice is to buy a 3 bedroom compact. Because the logical choice is to buy a 3 bedroom. And if let's say the 3 bedroom compact comes out, not so ideal because yeah, this one don't have yard lah. I need a storeroom. You see, then you will maybe jump to what? Go and look into a 3 bedroom premium, correct? So usually that's how we look at it. Then we say, okay, calculate how much we need to pay extra, all these things. So there are developers that actually place the 3 bedroom compact and premium very close to each other. So everybody will rush, and then of course they'll go and buy the premium lah. So later on, I will share with you using Lentor Central as an example to show you what are the usual traps people fall into. All right, so that is something that I want to just clear out. And again, we will cover quite a fair bit of things every time whenever anybody wants to go on the balloting process with us. So if you want to seek a second opinion, knowing now the prices are so attractive, you may want to reach out to us so that we can actually guide you along on this. All right, give me a second. Let me just text my client on this. I need to be a little bit delayed. Give me a second. All right, cool. All right, so do scan the QR code and reach out to us so that we will be able to kind of guide you through on what is a safe entry for you based on your own current situation. What's your property arrangements going to be? Then we can guide you through that process. So I want to kind of go through the compact and premium kind of example. All right, so today you can buy all three bedrooms. Then you say, oh, I compact, like don't have yard, don't have WC, don't have extra space for me, don't have a storeroom. I want to go and buy the three-bedroom premium. So this is a classic example. So based on a compact and premium, the difference is about 161 square feet. So there are some people who come in and share like, hey, today, to pay 161 square feet more, does it make sense? For what? For additional storeroom? For additional yard area? Additional WC? Of course, will all your other room space be bigger? Generally, the common rooms will be the same. It's only what the master room always is bigger. Or whenever there's a space increase, the rest more or less the same. And potentially you also get a bigger kitchen. So if you are able to accept these five key things with the 161 square feet more, then does it make sense for me to jump into the 3-bed premium? Oh, so I just want to use a very simple calculation. If let's say we base on 2050 per square foot and multiply by 161, we're talking about 330,000. So let's put into context. Will you pay 330,000 for these five things? All right, key in the comment. If it's yes or no, it's okay. Nobody's here to judge you. All right, it's just for us for discussion's sake. So you say, huh, wow, pay so much for just to pay for this, these five items. Then you start considering, should you go for it? All right. So I'm going to share with you another perspective of how I see things. Of course, my role here is not to ask you to keep paying more and more, but there are certain things that is worth to explore, and this is where most homeowners make the mistake. They never consider the other perspective. They only look at, wow, 330,000 to pay for this space. Is it worth it or not? So our role is to always guide you through another perspective on seeing things before we make a decision, because you could have not seen in that angle before. So that's how we as consultants help you make a better logical decision. Or we are not here to make decisions for you. We are here to help you to facilitate this entire process. Okay? So of course, if you have like limitation of your budget, totally cannot, then don't lah. You know, still a lot of money, correct? See, and not that 915 you cannot purchase. 915 can still be a stepping stone for you. If given a choice, everybody will go and buy 5-bedroom, right? Everybody will go and buy landed property, right? But we do have our limitations. We do have our affordability limitations. So we have to accept the fact. If premium is out of the range, then we don't go for it. But I'm not here to tell you based on affordability, but I'm here to tell you, is it worth? Even though for me to pay this 330,000, is it worth? Because if today you find that this is worth, then another options you can go for is the 1076. You can just jump in because it's 300,000 more only. So let me share with you why this are how usually homeowners always think. Because when today you may choose to not buy a premium unit, you go for the compact unit. So let me pull you into when it becomes a resale. Okay, when all properties become a resale, a typical family, when they first look at a property to stay for comfort, especially for 3-bedroom, you know, which one will they get towards to? Will they also have the same thought like you? Should I go for a compact? Or should I go for a premium? But premium more expensive. Then should I buy a compact? But compact, I don't have my storeroom. My kitchen are very small. You know, these are very common. Yes, the additional 330,000 seems a lot. Okay. But let us break it down later on to invest this additional 330,000 for the comfort, for the sanity inside the house. Is it worth or not? Okay. And how much will we want to pay for this? So let us just do a very quick calculation. So let's say this is 161 square feet more. Okay, about 330. I just use 330,000. So let's use an example. Let's say the property per square foot is 2150 per square foot. All right, times 915. So this is the compact. So it will be about 1.967 million. What else? If let's say I go and buy a premium times 1076, 2.313 million. 2.3 million. So today, we just based on the first thing is down payment. The down payment difference is 104K more. Only 104, including your stamp duty. So today, it may seem like a big sum, but today you are not paying that 330,000 totally. Second thing, your monthly mortgage. Let's say we base on the 25% year loan at 3.5% interest rate, just an estimate. Okay. The monthly installment for 915, it will come to about maybe $689, whereas the the premium will be about 8,000. Difference only 1,012. So to pay an additional 1,002 per month, and I haven't even calculated minus off your CPF and everything, right? Additional 1,000, let's say $1,000, that you get additional space for kitchen, you get a yacht, you got a WC, you got a storeroom, potentially you can store more things, you can have a helper's room, you have a bigger master room. Is it worth? And $1,200 per day, per month, which means if we equate now for 30 days, it's only what, $40? Only $40 more to enjoy your property lifestyle. And potentially, if we look at most families, which type of properties will they usually go for? You see, so that's why this is also very important to just to allow when we look at prices, how do we actually look into it so that when we put it out into resale in future, it's easy. It is definitely doable, very doable. Okay, so this is very important, very important for us to know. So another thought, another factor you must understand is today when both properties, in terms of the PSF, when they increase, okay, the smaller size unit will make more or the bigger size unit will make more. So this is also another element you must also think about. Because today we must ensure that the size that we have, because we are treating property as a savings tool, right? So today, if we can still have the ability to loan, we can still afford the down payment, we are still working, we can aim for a bigger size. Because later on, studies have shown, right, all the bigger size units in terms of the margin, in terms of profit, is a lot more. And today, are you paying that huge differences? It's only $40 per day extra. Or should I say only 104,000 extra. You're not paying like $500,000, that kind of situation. So that's why fundamentals are key when clients work with us. We're not here to direct you what to do, but it's really to guide you through like, okay, is there something that you are not seeing? Then we study together and see how we can align before you make your decisions moving forward. You see, because this is very important. And if today you buy into the wrong property, even though you can afford a bigger one, then you could be losing out in terms of what time, in terms of age, in terms of a borrowing ability. So this is something that you have to be very, you have to look at it very carefully. So for the compact and premium, so this is how you see it. And if let's say we compare to the rest of the three bedrooms, okay, three bedrooms, the Lentor Mansion one, if we calculate the same, is averagely about 2005 already. Or else the Lentor Hill Residences is about 2004. So that's why today when Lentor Central Residences come out the pricing, I was like, wow, this is cheap, 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 very cheap. Okay, cheap, not the quality or this, but in terms of the comparison of prices, wow, very acceptable, you see. So this is something that you have to start comparing that how your property, when you get a chance to go into Lentor Central Residences, right, you must really make a trip down, take a look with us, we guide you through, we see what's your objective, then we can help you forward. All right. So then there's another situation that will come. Okay. So usually those who go for a 3 bedroom or even 3 bedroom premium, then you say that then should I pay a little bit more for 4 bedroom? How many of you have that kind of situation? Then should I pay a little bit more for 4 bedroom? You see? So this is also another one that we need to compare. So today, based on their 3 bedroom to 4 bedroom, right? The 4 bedroom immediately jumped to 1184 square feet. Oh, so one more bedroom. Okay, one more bedroom. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more bedroom. You will definitely have a longer kitchen. You will have a bigger wardrobe space. All this is walk-in wardrobe space. And you will still have your household shelter and everything. Okay, and WC, and then your yard. Oh, so all the 9 things are there. So then, is it worth for me to go from premium 1076 jump to 1184? So this one is only a difference of how many? 108 square feet. Okay, 108 square feet. If we use $2,050 per square foot again, that means the difference is about 221K for extra room, everything. So same thing, this is also when we need to study which one makes a lot more difference, which one makes more sense. So this difference actually makes a little bit more worth. And I share with you why. Because today we are moving towards the bigger size configuration generation, meaning families, they really want to get more bigger unit for housing their families. And if we look at the entire population right now is the time where people need bigger space. Okay, they want the younger, newer, better facilities, and yet they want a big space. So we are in that generation right now. So this is also a reason why 4 bedrooms are highly sought after. Okay, super highly sought after, and there's a limited supply in the marketplace. That's why 4 bedrooms are very interesting concept. Of course, will this phenomenon last forever? It's not. Okay, so at every time when the market moves, right, there will be certain type of properties that will be more desirable in the next couple of years. And that's why we will always plan ahead of what type of property we should go for. Of course, within your means again. But if let's say you have a wide range of capacity, then we can actually work around to determine, hey, should we go for a 3 bedroom now? Should we go for a 5 bedroom right now? There are many different strategies at different times. So this is also the reason why we are staying very current. We are investing ourselves. We are buying properties ourselves. And whatever we are doing right now is for us to exit very easily in the next 5 to 6 years. And that is also how we look at it. Okay, so besides this 1184 layout, which is very longish, you have a small walk-in wardrobe, walk-in closet, right? They have another 4 bedroom layout, which is this way, meaning everything is the same. The difference is that now your entire master room with your walk-in wardrobe is extremely big. All right, so what's the difference? If you look at this, what's the difference? Let me show you the other example. Let me just clean this up a little bit. So for this, right, the idea is that they have a walk-in closet here. And if you find that this walk-in closet is not big enough, actually you have more than enough space here to build another one. Okay, so this is the main difference if you ask me. Whereas the other one, they already built a long one for you, so you don't have much space to actually create another set of wardrobe, but you get a longer wardrobe, meaning the developer already built for you. So this is also another layout that I believe will also works very well for a family for 4 bedrooms, and there's no um, questions about this layout. The only thing, as I hum in my other previous video, is 2 bathroom for 4 bedroom is always a concern for me. I always believe minimum also okay lah. We don't count WC We don't count WC as a bathroom At least 3 bathroom lah. Or so I know it's very getting rare because they have to fill in this household shelter. But I hope that in future the architects and developers are able to kind of accommodate this for us lah. So let's compare to the other layouts in Lentor Mansion and Lentor Hill Residences. Their per square foot, if we calculate, will be averagely about 2.3 to even 2.352. So this is potentially the range. And if you look at the potential launch of their 4 bedroom, it will be at least starting from $2,000 per square foot. Okay, you have almost $300 per square foot to play with. So that's why I find that today when we are comparing Lentor Central with other prices, right, it's very different in terms of the area, and also most importantly is that the prices are very attractive. You see, so today, if let's say today you are going for Lentor Central Residences, you also need to ask yourself, okay, who should I, if I'm in this profile, what should I be doing? Okay, so I think one of the key things that we must acknowledge is that Lentor is still mainly for families. Okay, so if you have missed previous Lentor launches because you are maybe the timing does not match, or your income has not grown to a certain level that it can allow you to purchase, and this is now an opportunity for you to go into one location where it's cheap, okay, in terms of entry, but it's a very good stepping stone for any one of you, even if you're getting the one bedroom, because now the one bedroom is to help you build to the second bedroom, the third bedroom in future, right? So this is with an ongoing township you should really go for. So today, Lentor can be your first entry if this is your first time buying a property, and upgraders if you really want to kind of have a taste of how property is like for private property, then this could also be another entry, because the entry point is actually very low. Okay, and we all have to start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere to build our assets, to elevate and increase the value of our property. You see, so this is very important. And yeah, so as I was sharing, right? Um, yeah, so today, if let's say you are looking into Lentor Central with this kind of price, where to get? Cannot get, really cannot get. And also, we don't want to make the mistake of waiting. Okay, yet at the same time, we also are worried about moving forward. That's the reason why, if you really are looking at some ideas of how to look into property, how to navigate your way into property, you really want to scan the QR code and reach out to us, and we can more than happy to kind of give you a guide through a step-by-step process with our REM method to guide you through how to actually navigate property the safe way. Okay, the safe way and the right way. And this is why the Lentor Central, if you ask me, based on the entry price, the affordability wise, and the upside is extremely high. So this is why one of the key thing that today I'm sharing with you guys. And let me, oops, wait, yep. All right. So with that, I conclude my sharing in terms of Lentor Central Residences. So reach out to me if you have any needs of how you want for property, so that I will be able to guide you through this step by step.